All right, this is a quick video about replacing the transmission shift solenoid on a 2011 Dodge Grand Caravan. We neither one of us, me and one other guy were doing the work on this. Neither one of us had ever replaced one of these before, and so we watched a couple of YouTube videos, but didn't see anything that showed exactly this model of van. And so there was a lot of information out there that really wasn't applicable to this. And so anyway, basically what was happening, we were driving our van, and one day it just stopped shifting, stuck in second gear, went into what they call limp mode, and so we had to go through and we were driving around at 40 miles an hour for a few days, and just finally got the stuff to fix this. And so anyway, got the parts and things in, and still have a couple more things to do, but just want to show you basically the hard stuff in case you're running into the same issue and you want to try to tackle this yourself. The two of us took us about 3 hours. That included a trip to the store to pick up some gasket sealant stuff. So anyway, and I'll kind of show you some of the stuff that we used to do all this. So anyway, basically to dive into this, what you're going to replace here is the transmission solenoid, which is located right there, that black box, which has the electrical connection right there. To get that electrical connection off was a little bit of a bear. Basically, to do it, you had to pull back on the gray part, and then underneath that gray part's a little black piece that we actually had to, you have to push down on to release, and then you kind of wiggle it out, and as you start wiggling it out, the gray part goes back towards the shift solenoid cover there, and that pulls off. And so anyway, that's how that worked. And so a little bit of a hassle, but got that pulled off. And so I also, there is a cover that goes over this. I haven't put that on yet, and so I'll have to undo that the electrical connection there to get that back on there. But I just wanted to show you kind of how that worked. And so there's I forget, I think a 23, 25 pin connection there. And so you have to pull that off. And then to get this cover out, we had to take out this reservoir, and so pretty easy to do. I ended up taking apart this one here, pulled that off, which is just watch, because you will have some coolant that'll spill out, and then this just lifts up and out, and it does have a connection over here that you have to just pull off. It's just compression connection, so you pull that off. And so we did that. Also, don't forget, disconnect your battery at the beginning. And so pulled that off. Once you pull that off, you've got a bunch of screws all around the outside of it. You can see the screw right here on the top. Let's see if I can give you a view. This screw right here on the top is what you're going to be pulling, and there's a bunch of them around the outside edge. You can see them going down the side there, and so there's a number of them that go all the way around. You got to pull all those out. After you pull all of those out, this cover just slides right off. It does have a gasket, but it's one that you're just going to put on. It's a squeeze tube gasket. I think it's an RTV transmission seal gasket. So anyway, you're going to have to pick that up. That does take, so that's what I'm going to be waiting on, is that part to dry. You have to wait overnight. So anyway, you pull that off. Underneath there, you're going to have another, you're going to have basically you're going to have a valve body, and then you're also going to have the solenoid chamber, the transmission shift solenoid, and that part is going to be underneath that, and that's the part that takes a little bit of time to take out. There's 21, I believe it's 21 hex bolts that go around the top. And so you got to take out all of those, and they go all the way around the outside, and they also have a couple on the inside. And then on the back side of that is how you're going to get the solenoid off. Now I'll show you what that solenoid looks like real quick. This is the part, so that's obviously the electrical connection that was sticking out. This is the one that we just pulled out. You do have to pull this part off, this connector off, before you take it out. That is something that you have to pull off first. That's a little bit of you just got to be careful with pulling that off so you don't break the little clip that goes right there. Once you get that pulled off, then There's a little pin that it drops down in, which is on the valve body, not on this part. And you have to pull that. You have to be careful as you're pulling that out. You're going to be pulling that forward. So this is going to be sitting in there like this. And as you're pulling this out, there's 3 little tubes that go in on the backside here for the valve body, and so you have to kind of wiggle those out as you're pulling it, and it did take some work to get those out, but we did finally get them out. If they do pull out with your transmission, you can't just slide them back in, they just click back into place. They do have some O-rings that you have to pick up. I think we got ours, they were like $7 a piece. While you're in there, you might as well change it, and so we went ahead and did that. But this is the part that you're going to be getting, and so you're going to have a bunch of connections, and this is the back part. So this is the part that's connected to the valve body, and so you're going to take a bunch of screws that go through the valve body. So if you imagine there's a valve body right here, and so there's a bunch of screws, hex bolts that go all the way around there. You're going to pull both out, the valve body as well as this, and then you're going to flip it over, and on the back side you're going to have all these holes, and those are going to be T25 torque screws, and so you got to pull all of those, and then it's kind of a 3-part piece that separates there, and then basically you're going to put the new shifter solenoid back on, and then there's a cover that goes on the back side of the valve body, and then that just screws. You kind of sandwich it together. There are a couple little spots here that fit into your valve body to make sure that it's placed correctly, and so you're going to put that back on there, and it kind of has its own little gasket here, and so it seals itself as you torque that in. You're going to want to use kind of a star pattern as you're doing this, and that's the same case whenever you go and you put the valve body back on. You're going to want to kind of move one to another, not just go all the way around the outside. And so you do that, and so once you have that together, then you're just going to put it back up inside of there and basically reverse everything that you just did. Just be careful when you're putting it in there. There's a little, like I said, there's a little shifter pin on the valve body down here. It's just a little bitty thing, fits in a little chain a slot that really is the shifter for your transmission and things. And so you just got to be careful as you're doing that doesn't you don't break that off, obviously. And that was probably the thing that we struggled with the most, was getting the 3 tubes that are on the back side going into that, pulling that out, and along with the that little notch down at the bottom that you had that went into that little slot. And so once you figure that out, and then it just lifts out, and then you can drop it down through the bottom. And so we got that pulled out. And so anyway, I wanted to put this together because as I was looking around, there really wasn't anything for a 2011 Dodge Grand Caravan. There was from older ones and some other options, but I wanted to show you what a 2011 looked like. A lot of them say you have to remove exhaust, you have to remove some other piping things, you have to remove these pipes. You don't have to do any of that. We were able to do it all without having to worry about any of that. There are, yours might have the little cover that goes on it, and I'll have to find that and put that on. Oh, here it is. You'll see, it looks like this. It's just kind of more of a cloth almost type of a cover that just goes over it. And so a lot of people said they don't even put these back on. I'm going to put mine back on because I have it. And so it goes through 3. You're going to see there's 3 studs that's poke through, one there, and one right there, which obviously we tore that off. And they're held on by these little clasps. Let's see if I can show you these little guys. And so I did just pick up some more of them, and so anyway, but those go on there to hold that in place. But that's not super crucial, but that is kind of a nice thing to put on there. I'm sure it protects some of the heat and things that come out of the transmission there. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody. Like I said, there wasn't anything real clear for a 2011 Dodge Grand Caravan. There was a lot of other stuff out there, but I wanted to make sure and put this out there. Not a super difficult job, but I would definitely recommend if you have 2 people to use 2 people. It made that life so much easier just because we had one that was able to work from the top and one that was able to work from the bottom, and that made it really easy to pull everything out. So anyway, hope this has helped someone, and good luck if you run into the same issue that we do. It was a code P0755, and hopefully we're going to get this put together, and that should be the fix. So anyway, hope this helps someone, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it.